I think this year is that we can't afford to let them bully us. Where they're really, really strong is on set pieces, you know? They're always bad when we're coming, and they seem to just get a performance.
Everton are there for the taking. They are really there for the taking, and I expect goals.
Declan Rice has got a big part to play in that midfield, because I felt last year they kind of dominated that midfield. They kind of overpowered us. Record is horrendous. I mean, that's like on par with when we go to Man City. This place, man.
Yeah, I know.
It's the memories.
And here we are. It is game day. It's Everton versus Arsenal. A massive game on a Sunday. Lots of results to discuss as well from yesterday. The Premier League is back after a 2-week international break. A round of applause for the return of Premier League action and the return of Arsenal to our screens. I cannot wait. Let's welcome the amazing panel. We have Laurie to my right. Welcome, Laurie. As always, we welcome Izzy for the second time on AFTV. Is back. And for the first time, Christian, welcome to AFTV. And it wouldn't be a watch-along, wouldn't be an AFTV watch-along without the amazing information station. And Frank is joining us from the info station, and we'll be hearing from him as well throughout the show, throughout the game, giving us all the insight we need. Bournemouth are currently playing Chelsea. It's 0-0. They've just kicked off the second half, so we'll keep an eye on that. But like I said, Premier League action returned yesterday. There was lots of drama, and looked at one point like it might be a great day for Arsenal. It kind of went against us, but we'll catch up with Frank in a little bit about the results and where it's left Arsenal going to this massive game against Everton. Laurie, are we going to say this every day? It's a massive game. So must win this.
Well, when you were Arsenal and you're one of those teams that will hopefully be challenging for honours, both in the Premier League and in the Champions League, literally every game is a massive game. So yeah, this is a massive game, particularly when you take into account the historical context. How we have not performed at Goodison Park over, I think it's the last 5 seasons. What is it? 4 defeats and 1 draw in the last 5. So we're hoping to put that right. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this game, man.
So do we have to just strap in Izzy then? Is it just 38 games of this, add the Champions League to that, we want a cup run? Well, why do we do it to ourselves?
Do you know what? In terms of like the Everton game, I think we're going to Goodison Park this year with one of the best teams we've ever had since like Arsene Wenger. So I don't see why we can't go there and get a result today. I actually feel really positive about it, because I do think we've got a totally different team to even last year. Even like they've not grown up a bit, but you know what I mean. So I think we can do it today. So
yeah, agreed. You feeling the same?
We should have won last year. Obviously, I think we were top of the table. They were obviously near the bottom.
New manager bounce and all that, though.
Yeah, it's true, but there's no reason not to be confident this year again. Obviously, we haven't beaten since 2017 at Goodison, which is mental. But we should be confident. We should go there, obviously, as the better team. Don't let the crowd get an advantage. Don't let kind of their players gain more confidence in the game. But yeah, confident going into it.
So can I just ask, did you all just sort of get in touch about the shirts for the day?
Got the memo.
I don't think you're in the WhatsApp group. I think that's the problem.
Oh, wow. I'm feeling so welcome.
You didn't get the memo then, no?
No, Cass is over there.
Mind you, I think Arsenal will be playing in red today, won't they? I heard.
So I hate it when, and I'm sure it's for marketing purposes, where clubs will just wear their away kit when it's like, there's no kit clash. Why are you doing this? A few times we've gone to Everton and not worn red, and I've never understood it.
Wait, they're gonna wear the red
I
today?
didn't know that.
I don't know.
That's what I heard. I don't quote me on that, but I did see something in one of the WhatsApp groups I'm in that Arsenal will be wearing red today. I'm in several.
Well, if they
WhatsApp
wear
groups.
red, you're all going to feel stupid, huh? Let's remind ourselves of what happened across Saturday as well. There was lots of drama. At one point, it looked like all the rivals that we're hoping would drop points would, but some managed to turn it around. Let's touch base with Frank. How you doing, Frank?
Yeah, well, good, thank you, James. I've got the results here from yesterday's fixtures. It was a day of late goals in the majority of the games. We started off with Wolves versus Liverpool. Liverpool won that game 3-1. Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace ended 3-1 to Aston Villa. 3 very late goals from Aston Villa, if I remember correctly. All 3 scored past the 80th minute, so that was an interesting end to that game. We then move on to Fulham versus Luton. Fulham won that game 1-0. And then Old Trafford United schooled by the Seagulls as Brighton beat them 3-1 at home. That's one of my favourite results of the game. Moving on to the next one. Now this is one of my favourites to one of my least favourites. We got Sheffield versus Spurs. Sheffield were leading for a majority of the game, and then two very, 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 very late goals from Tottenham gave them all 3 points as they won 2-1. West Ham versus Man City ended 3-1 to Manchester City. Erling Haaland with another goal. He's an absolute machine. And then we rounded things off with Newcastle versus Brentford, which ended 1-0. So plenty of goals yesterday, and I'm hoping for more of the same today.
And there might be a goal here. Chelsea. Sterling with a fantastic free kick. It's just hit the post. But does this cross the line? It looks... No, it looks like it's
not all the way over.
Not all the way over. It's put into the back of the net though by Colwill, but he is offside. So Chelsea very close to taking the lead. And look how close that is. I don't know if you're all watching it, but Chelsea on the brink of going 1-0 up, but it's just kept out and Bournemouth survived 0-0.
Maybe they'll wait until the 97th minute.
Well, I mean, and how? Look, it's early in the season, and I expected Tottenham to beat Sheffield United. So those results hurt me more when it's like, how have you got a win? I thought this was the one where you dropped points. Like, in the end, I thought they'd win 5-0. So I'm kind of like, okay, you beat them 2-1, whatever. But to do it from the 98th minute, they get the win in the 100th minute. You know, they are coming into next week's North London derby, feeling very good as a club. They've turned things around very quickly.
I think we're all feeling a bit of the same. Like, we just kind of wanted them to be deflated before they obviously come to the Emirates. And then for them to do what we've been doing over the past couple of seasons, get those late goals, I was deflated after watching that. I put it on in the 90th minute. So I was like, I want to watch them lose. Scored in the 97th and the 100th minute. I was like, what is going on? Yeah. That's what we do. We did it against Bournemouth, we did it against United. Yeah. Well, twice. United last year, United this year.
Yeah, it's true.
It was kind of like, they played Leicester, was it last season or 2 seasons ago?
Yeah.
And they were 1-0 down, they came back and won the exact same thing. I think it was it wasn't Dan Juma, it was...
it was a Dutch guy, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
He's left now.
What was his name?
What was his name?
Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, he's a decent player as well.
Yeah. They signed him, Mourinho signed him. Anyway, you're right.
Yeah.
Let's hope Arsenal don't need that kind of drama to beat Everton today. But like you mentioned, not a great record there, Laurie. And it's one of those grounds, I was there on Wednesday, but I've never actually been... You've been as a fan, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been.
It's one of those games where, for some reason, the pitch always feels smaller. We looked it up the other day. It is, in fact, smaller, but how much smaller, really? I said a big football pitch. Physically, they kind of get on top of you. Sean Dyche, he's gone with a certain midfield three that we've struggled against before, certainly last year. Are you looking at Arsenal and thinking, they need to bring the physicality to it? We had this debate on the show as well.
Yeah,
and a few days on, are you still feeling that?
Yeah, absolutely. We had the FANZONE show, which was a really good show, actually, myself and you. We took calls from people calling in about the subject matter, which was how do we get a win there at last? And one of the things we spoke about was how it's an old school ground and the fans are kind of on top of you and they generate a lot of noise. So basically what it is you have to earn the right to play at Everton. Because when they're up for it, as they will be today, you got to match them physically because they're physically quite a strong, quite a big team. And Arsenal, I would say, are the more talented team, without a doubt. But they are quite physical, they will be up for it. And so you got to match that energy. And then hopefully, once you've done that, then the extra class will begin to show through.
So one of the rumours doing the rounds, and it's sparked by social media, involves the goalkeeping situation. Izzy, do you want to just sort of tell us what you've been seeing, what's been going on?
So David Raya posted an Instagram story for the first time, which suggests he's starting today, which I actually didn't think was going to be the case. I thought he'd start on Wednesday for Champions League, but then again, we were saying Ramsdale does deserve that Champions League start. So I'm surprised if he starts today. I don't really know how to feel about that.
Which one will Ramsdale be more gutted to miss out on, do you
Champions
think?
League.
Champions League.
Without a doubt. I think for Ramsdale to come from where the journey he's been on in terms of being relegated, coming to Arsenal, being brilliant, surprising everyone. I think he deserves to be rewarded with the Champions League start. And I think if Arteta in the week said to him, look, you're not going to start this game, Everton away, but you're going to start at PSV, I think he said he would agree. Okay, cool. Give Raya the chance. If that's how it has to be, we've got 2 top keepers. You have to give him a chance at some point. I don't think he'll be too disappointed. Obviously, as a keeper, it's like we're used to seeing teams have one number one. and then you have a backup keeper who's obviously not as good. But when you've got two brilliant keepers, I don't know how you handle that.
Well, also, when you look at all the stats that were emerging when we signed David Raya, and everyone's trying to understand why we were doing that deal, and okay, everyone talked about how good he was on the ball, but being at Brentford, where set piece is something they've taken a lot of pride in, his cross collection numbers have been really good.
Yeah.
Now, he's not as tall as Ramsdale, but obviously height isn't everything. It's also about your timing, your positioning, your understanding when to come, when not to come. So is there something in this where we're seeing for the first time Arteta put out an 11, if Raya starts, where he's starting to go, I know what their strengths are, and I need to have the best players equipped to deal with this. That might even see someone like Tomiyasu starting today.
Mm-hmm. Yes and no, because I think if you're going from, okay, I'm starting the best players for this game, then maybe. But if you look at overall who is the better goalkeeper, I think it's Ramsdale.
Yeah.
So if you're saying, and who has a bigger presence, I think it's also Ramsdale. So I think it's probably
That's
a bit more, he is just being brought in to give him minutes because he's been promised minutes.
Can we run a poll? Let's Ramsdale or Raya, let's find out who the 3,000 of you watching would like starting. Do hit the like button if you're enjoying this stream.
I'll tell you what I found immediately interesting about the Raya thing is that, let's just say he does start today. Hopefully he has a good game, keeps a clean sheet. What does the manager do next week?
Exactly.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, but this is Ramsdale came in when we were. I remember when Leno got dropped for Ramsdale at first. I think they're thinking it might be a penalty here for Bournemouth, but no, nothing to do.
Wishful thinking.
Ramsdale came in for Ramsdale came in for Leno. Leno hadn't, I know we'd lost 3 games in a row, whatever, but Leno hadn't done anything wrong in terms of. We lost 5-0 at City, it could have been worse, you know.
Yeah.
So Rams actually came in at a time where it was like Arteta saying, listen, the performance levels need to go up. Now, what's weird about Arsenal is we've won 3 of our first 4, we've only drawn against Fulham. So really you should be thinking, well, performance levels aren't really an issue, but Arsenal don't quite look the same right now, do they, Izzy?
Yeah, I was actually saying earlier, I haven't been convinced this season yet by any of our performances. Like, Man U last week, unfortunately I didn't see any of it because my best friend got married, but...
I was sacked off the wedding, by the way.
Literally. I mean, if I watched it, I would have been like, okay, maybe that's the one. I think that was a good win. I think we needed it. But all of the games so far, I've not gone, okay, yeah. Like last season, I was like, yeah, great, we're going to have a really good season. I'm not convinced yet.
I know what you mean, we haven't had that start.
No.
And that's what, unfortunately, them lot down the road are having, that start, which they're scoring lots of goals, they're getting last-minute winners.
It's the last-minute winners as well. Like, fine, at the end of the season, put those last-minute winners in, but we're at the start, we're 5 games in, like we need early goals.
The start that really kind of gets you excited,
Yeah.
I get you going. In fact, Alex Smith of the Super Chat has said, afternoon, folks, we need to win after Tottenham won, have to follow up with a win. I say 3-0, Everton are a bit of a mess, but I almost think when a team is, because Everton haven't been as bad as their results suggest. That's what's, I know there's a lot going on, you know, where kind of had 2 back-to-back relegation battles, they've got the new ownership coming in, they've had, I think, 1 point from 12, but they're not a bad team. Like, you look at the metrics, you look at just the games, like they haven't played that badly, and I think we shouldn't get too caught up in this, well, they haven't won, we should smash them. They've played a bit better than the results have suggested, Christian.
Yeah, they haven't been bad this season. But I'm trying not to look at it like that. I'm kind of looking at comparing us to them. And just I want to see a good performance today. Like you were saying, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that this season. You know, last year we used to start so fast, like literally first 5 minutes, blow teams away, kind of stamp our authority in the game, and I want to see that today.
Do you know the exact performance I need to see? Do you remember Brentford away last year? We lost at Man United, then we had a week off because of the passing of the Queen, and then the Brentford game came along, and I was thinking, oh, we just lost the last one. We're not.
Yeah, there was noise.
Are we really at our best? And then we smashed them. I think everyone went, okay, no, this team's ready for it. You remember that game, the 3-0? Like that was a comprehensive away performance at a ground that and an opposition that feels like they'd have problems for us, but we just showed our class.
Yeah, I think all you guys are right. We've not been at our fluid best. I think that's no secret. However, I would say this. I was at the Palace game, the away game, and I thought that was a good performance, actually, especially when you consider we went down to 10 men in that game, and to beat Palace on their own ground, night game, a bit similar to this where the fans are up for it and everything else. I thought that was a good result.
Do you know what was interesting
and
about
a
that?
decent performance.
Sorry, do you know what was interesting about that Brentford game is Fabio Vieira started that.
Yeah.
And we could almost see a parallel today. Maybe, I know people are calling for it in Fabio Vieira starting.
Well, we've got a clip relating to that because we have discussed it. Just before we do, Frank, there's lots of comments saying that apparently it's been confirmed that Raya is going to start today. So we'll play the clip and then we'll come over to you, Frank. So any information you can get, do let us know. But here was the discussion that was had on the Havertz-Vieira battle for that number 8 position.
Now, this is the conundrum for me. Do you go with Havertz, where he'll bring a bit of physical presence? He had an assist for Germany during the week, but has not really lit it up so far for Arsenal. Could this be his moment? Or do you start someone else? I'm not sure on Smith Rowe's fitness levels. Is he ready to start in a game like this? Because I think he would be a good player for this. You know, I'd start Fabio Vieira. You know?
You'd start Fabio Vieira?
I think Fabio Vieira has made a couple of really good cameos.
Yeah.
And I think he deserves...
Yes, people, welcome back. I'm looking here on Twitter, and there's plenty of Twitter accounts that are confirming it. Some very reliable sources as well. We've got Ollie from AI saying David Raya starts for Arsenal, and everyone is pretty much going off of that. I'm quite happy that we're finally seeing David Raya start for Arsenal. I said it in a previous video that I'd done before about we've got the best goalkeeper depth in the world right now. 2, for me, just touching world-class goalkeepers in net for Arsenal. David Raya starts today, which means potentially Aaron Ramsdale starts on Wednesday. I personally would have had it the other way around, but no complaints for me. Looks like David Raya is going to be starting. Back to you, James.
Okay. Interesting.
I guess the question is why, right?
Well, is it the underlying numbers? Is it the other thing is Everton really suffocated us last year. Ananake and Doucouré, mate, it was just a nightmare for us in midfield. We couldn't play our football. And Raya does give you, with, dare I say, Havertz, we're going to come to that now, with Havertz's aerial ability, he gives that ability to play above the press and be a little bit more long ball, a little bit more direct. So, anyone else want to offer other side? I don't know.
That's what I'm thinking. All that I can think of is, like I said literally just now, I don't think Raya is a better keeper than Ramsdale. And I don't think that Arteta thinks he is either.
Okay.
But I think maybe he's a bit scarred from last year, losing Saliba, losing Tomiyasu. Do you know what I mean? We lost important players towards the end of the season. If he's thinking, if I don't bring in another keeper and Ramsdale gets injured, who's our backup? Do you know what I mean? And we've got, say we're in the latter stages of the Champions League, we're still going for the Premier League, maybe still in the FA Cup, and you haven't got, do you know what I mean? And you're starting a...
You know what, I would
keeper who's not good enough.
respectfully agree to disagree with you on that one, because it's if my sources are correct, I think...
Exclusive.
Well, no, it's been out there that Arsenal have been following, Arteta's been following Raya's for a long time, hasn't he? We tried to sign him before. So I think, this is what my personal belief is, that he sees him as a long-term replacement for Ramsdale. That's what I think.
You think this is the start of the evolution of the team?
I actually do.
I hope not, because I feel like Ramsdale's been brilliant.
And I also think that a lot of people out there might beg to differ
about Ramsdale.
That Ramsdale being a better keeper. I think a lot of people would say that Raya overall, he's definitely better with his feet.
I think you ask Arsenal fans, and I think they lean towards Ramsdale. I think you ask rival fans, they'll go David Raya. And I think sometimes that's the...
Could that be because Ramsdale's built up
when we're trying to understand why did we not beat City to this title when we had those points, he'll be looking at everything that went wrong, Arteta. And, was Ramsdale that good in the run-in? Not really. But is that his fault? It's his first time, and this is what... we're to learn a lot. Yeah. Any other rotation you see coming? We just had that discussion we played there about Havertz, Vieira. Do you have a preferred? Do you have a totally different? Because I've got a totally different idea. But
I don't think Fabio Vieira is physically strong enough to start against this Everton team.
Yeah, a lot of
so
people
I
think
would
that.
keep Kai. And I'm not convinced of Kai yet. But I think this game he needs to do something.
Yeah.
And I think he might. I think he might get a goal.
Kai Havertz 1-0 maybe.
There. But yeah, Fabio, I think he's been great. I actually really rate Fabio this season.
Yeah.
I think bring him on, definitely bring him on, but keep Kai to start.
That physicality thing.
I said the same thing on the show we did in the week, the transfer zones, that this is a perfect game for him in many ways.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but because of Kai Havertz's performances, I'm just going, have Chelsea, are they, oh my word, pinball in there. Chelsea really should have scored against Bournemouth, it's unbelievable. My take is, I agree with everything that's been said, but I can't ignore the fact that Kai Havertz has been poor in the last 2 games.
Yes.
I'll give him Forest Community Shield, Palace, fine. Not great, but fine. Last 2, I'm going poor. Like, he was actually bad on the pitch. So my thing would be get Rice back in that box-to-box role and start Jorginho. I know we don't have Partey, but Jorginho can do this. Look at St James's Park in a physical midfield, in a tight, difficult atmosphere. Jorginho went, I got this. Yeah. I'm the maestro. I'll play with my head. And we need a bit of that as well.
I would agree. I think Jorginho would be, I think it makes sense to bring him in. I don't want to mention last year when he came on. I don't know if you remember what happened when Partey came on. It was in the 60th. And they scored straight away from a corner. But,
That's true, yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't mention that. I had a shout before. I don't know if it's a bit left field or if people are going to judge it. I want to bring Jesus back into this team. And maybe it's crazy to say, but maybe you can bring Jesus into the 8. Maybe, I know it sounds crazy, I understand. But if you look at how he plays anyway, sometimes he's picking the ball up between the centre-backs. He plays so deep.
Joe Linton moved into midfield.
Exactly, and we all agree he's not the best finisher. And he's good at driving at defenders, he's good at bringing other people into play.
He actually does have a very good goal-scoring record against Everton, Jesus does.
That is true.
Yeah.
Christian, have you read the script? Because we've actually now got a clip regarding Gabriel Jesus. Let's have a little listen to this.
Down the middle for me, Gabriel Jesus. He scored a brilliant goal, for Arsenal against Manchester United. That was a confident finish. I know it's a last minute, but he could have squared it actually to Reece. He didn't. He said, no, I'm the striker, bang, bang. And I just feel in this game where you're going to have a team that sits very deep in Everton, tried to soak it up and hit us on the counter. I just always love Jesus in these type of games, the trickery, he'll win you a load of fouls, but he's a handful. So if you've got 3 handfuls right across that front 3, remember at the start of last season, that was what was just mesmerising defences. You had a Saka on one side doing his thing, you had Martinelli doing his thing on the other, and then Jesus down the middle, and then they'd be changing over sometimes, and defences couldn't live with it. Jesus looked sharp the other day when he came on. He played for Brazil the other day, came on as a sub. I would like to see Jesus start this game. Nothing bad on Eddie. He's been doing brilliantly, but the main man is back now. So to me, he starts. And if need be, impact off the bench, you've got, Eddie, you've got Trossard,
Nelson,
Reece Nelson. There's a lot of firepower off the bench.
Georgie. Reece Nelson, of course, he's an option.
I was going to say that actually.
Yeah.
For Saka.
Well, who's not been at his best.
Yeah, start Reece, maybe.
So
I was thinking that.
This video, the Predicted 11, comes out before every sort of game day. You'll see them in the days before. So go check out the videos when they do come out. But we might as well give you a little spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen it. This was the 11 that we went with, Robbie and I. Ramsdale would have kept his place. And funnily enough, 52% of 2,000 voters agree that Ramsdale should be keeping his place. Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko as the back 4. And by the way, this is the predicted level, what we think he was going to go with. Odegaard, Rice and Havertz as the midfield 3, with Saka, Jesus to start, and Martinelli. You can build your 11 by going to the AFTV Plus app. Just download it. It's all on the Google Play Store, iOS devices as well. Whatever it is, you can build your 11. It's also your opportunity to join us on FANZONE, which we run during the week. We also run it on our very special full-time show straight after the game. You'll be joining me, Frank, Laurie and everyone after. So make sure you download the app right now and you'll be able to... By the way, there's a million ways to interact with us via that app, but the Predicted 11 for sure, and of course after. Now, we went with Jesus. Anyone else think that he's going to go anything different? Not in terms of what you want, but do you think Arteta might spring any other surprises? The Tomiyasu thing's been mentioned?
No, I think he's going to stick with this. I think this is quite accurate actually. But yeah. I don't know because I feel like with Saka he did there's a few knocks this week with the international
Achilles
games
problem,
and stuff.
yeah.
So I'm a bit like I'd rather keep Saka well for Tottenham, but I don't think he'll play now.
It's a big week. Rotation might need to be a thing, Christian.
I agree. I like this team, but I think he'll start Eddie. I think if you take people say
Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah, there's arguments for him being Player of the Month Arguably our best player since the season started. So for him to play this well and then just be taken out of the team as soon as Jesus is fit, I think will be, I don't want to say harsh because he's a professional footballer. Like there's no harshness, like it has to be cutthroat, you play your best team.
Yeah.
But he's playing really, really well. And I'm a big Eddie critic as well. So for me to say that and want him to maybe start, but I guess it's a good problem because I don't mind.
It's a good problem.
Honestly don't mind who starts.
And you touched on something that, if I'm to make one slightly out there prediction with the 11 that's going to be announced any minute now, I think both Eddie and Jesus start. I think Saka might be rested for this.
Yeah, so
if you're
do I.
talking your best headers of the ball, I think Eddie and Jesus are above Saka in that area. If he's got a problem, Saka, the way Arteta's quite bullish about he's fine makes me think, but this report didn't come out for nothing. I just think there's a good chance that he might go, we'll give him the PSV and the Tottenham game at home, but actually Eddie and Jesus, they both deserve to start. Saka wasn't his best the last few games. Let's be consistent with the Kai Havertz stuff as well.
And you know what? We haven't seen Arsenal in the Champions League for a long time, let's be honest. We don't know how Arteta's thinking and how, obviously we know how seriously he's going to take the Champions League, but how much he wants to rotate for the Champions League. We could see a front line of Trossard, Eddie, Reece Nelson. We could see a front line of Martinelli, Eddie. Do you know what I mean? Saka, it could be any of those.
I think one thing I would say is that I hope his mindset is that he goes with what he sees as the strongest possible team. Because with respect, this resting phenomenon, I don't want to see it. We need to win.
So then can you do that
Got a poor
for the
record
league
at
and
Everton.
the Champions League?
Yeah, it's difficult, but it's a conundrum because obviously the Champions League is very important. But I would say that the Premier League is a priority. And I would say that this game, especially with the way the results went yesterday, you don't want to start falling behind at this stage. You need a win, man. So whatever he thinks is his best team, he's got to go with it. I think the resting, we can save that for future weeks.
Well, we have the 11. Are we ready? David Raya does start in goal, confirmed.
Wow.
This is bloody interesting. Ben White, William Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes and Zinchenko make the back four.
Yeah, good.
Midfield three, Martin Odegaard, Declan Rice and Fabio Vieira
No
gets
way.
a start.
That's
Fair enough.
Wow.
Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Martinelli and Eddie Nketiah keeps his place
I thought he would keep
in
it.
the 11, which
Wow.
means a stacked bench of Aaron Ramsdale, Takehiro Tomiyasu, Jakub Kiwior, Jorginho, Kai Havertz, Leandro Trossard, Emil Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson and Gabriel Jesus on the bench. What a fascinating
Wow.
11. And I mean, Christian, just your reaction to that 11. What's Arteta planning here?
I hope he's planning to win the game.
Yeah.
Like I just said, I thought Eddie would start. I don't think, we know Arteta has faith in Eddie. He gave him the big contract. Jesus has been fit for a couple of games and he still kept his place, especially against Man United when Jesus could have come in. So I think I saw that happening. I hope it means Jesus will start against PSV. Because I think if, like Laurie, you're just saying, if it is our best 11, I think
3
Jesus
games
is
in a
it.
week, yeah, you must
Exactly.
be thinking about this.
So if Eddie starts today, I think he can do a job, but arguably he's been our best player since the start of the season. So yeah, if Jesus is going to start against PSV and Spurs, then I think it makes sense.
I'm confident that team that he selected is good enough to beat Everton today.
Yeah, for sure.
Izzy, that was a big wow from you when you saw Fabio Vieira. And I get it. I get it, but
I
talk
like
us
him
through it.
though. I like him as a player. I think he's really good, and I think this season he's been really good. Like when he comes on, I'm like, yeah, Vieira's on.
Yeah.
I'm confident. So, do you know what? Go get him, Fabio.
Is this Arteta? People reminded me of his.
So Havertz has dropped then for the first
Havertz
time.
is dropped. So this reminds me of Arteta.
Dropped is harsh.
Well,
Yeah,
It feels like
it does feel to me like
maybe
he's been
rotated.
dropped. Yeah, that's the nice euphemism. But to me, it does. I mean, let's be honest. What's he had? 4 games, no goals, no assists.
Yeah.
So
It is looking like a drop to me.
when we beat Newcastle 2-0 at St James's Park, and he went with Jorginho and Xhaka in there, and I thought, you've got to bring Partey back for this. You've got to bring. And then after, everyone said, what was your thinking behind that, Mikel? And he went, well, if you try and match Newcastle's physicality, you're going to lose that game. You go into that battle, you lost. So we have to play. And I thought that was slightly disingenuous because I thought Arsenal's steal in that game was a big part of why we got over the line. But is this a similar thinking where Okay, could have gone Ramsdale, who's taller. Could have gone Tomiyasu, because he's a better defender than Zinchenko. Could have gone Havertz, because he's taller. Could have gone Jesus, because he's, again, throws his body around more than Eddie. But has he gone in this game, I want my creators and my finishers. I want Zinchenko, I want Raya's ball distribution, I want Vieira, who's a fantastic chance creator. I want Eddie on the edge of everything that we're providing for him. And he's basically going, we're going to total football our way here.
That looks to me as if he's tried to get that balance right, that symbiotic balance.
Yeah, he obviously thinks that Fabio Vieira can hack it physically.
Yeah.
If you're putting him, we haven't seen the Everton team, but I assume it's Onana and Gay in the middle, who are both big guys, very physical players, especially Onana.
Yeah, you are right. Onana,
very physical,
Gay,
brilliant player.
They are a big team now, aren't they, Everton?
You know what's
in the middle they are,
Yeah, Decore. Let's go through the the Everton team. Pickford in goal, Young, Tarkowski, Branthwaite and Mikalenko. Branthwaite and Tarkowski, that's a tall, robust centre-back pairing. Onana, Gay and Decore, the midfield three that we really struggled with against Everton last season. Danjuma, McNeil and Beto, I thought looked really good against Sheffield United. So that's the 11.
I would say about that team, I mean, we spoke about our team better than last year. I think that Everton team this year is better than the one they put out against us last season.
It's really not about.
Okay, there's no Calvert-Lewin.
Yes, I think I agree.
There's no Calvert-Lewin, but they've got Danjuma and the guy Beto.
Beto's dangerous.
Yeah.
He's like 6'3" as well.
Yeah, he's a tall player. And he looked a handful, not just in terms of like target man, in terms of like he could run at players. He was carrying the ball against Sheffield United. Looks good. So a lot of work. I'm glad Gabriel's starting. Last night was wondering whether Smith Rowe might come in for Havertz, but we've had that confirmed that it's Fabio Vieira instead. Christian says our bench is on fire. Jesus, Trossard, Havertz, etc. Ollie says this is more than just rotation. Arteta still tinkering on not knowing his best team. That's a worry. Hope it doesn't backfire. But it's good problems. Listen, no team should have just one 11 they want to go with. We saw last season where that was a problem. We've got the 11 confirmed there on the screen as we're just watching Bournemouth line up a free kick. Let's get Frank's take on all this and just ask whether there's been anything else that's been said. By the way, Turkish is in the comments. Turkish, hope you're having an amazing time in Barcelona. Says, we don't need to fit Jesus in somewhere. He should be starting when he's available. Turkish disappointed that Nketiah, well, I've just put words in.
He's no fan of Nketiah.
But disappointed that Jesus isn't starting. And I'm imagining he'd have liked him starting over Eddie. But I sort of agree. I think that's my one disappointment. I think Jesus should have been playing this game, especially after the impact he had against Man United. But let's go to Frank for his and the social media world's reaction to that starting 11 that you can see on screen now.
Yeah, so in terms of my reaction to the starting 11, I actually agreed with the prediction that you guys gave on the show for the starting 11. I'm a bit surprised about this one, but that's not to say I'm disappointed. The two notable changes that he's made for me, Fabio Vieira, I actually agree with Izzy in the sense that I don't believe he should have started this game because of the whole physicality aspect. I think it would have been a perfect opportunity to start him on Wednesday in the Champions League. I'm looking forward to saying that again. And then up top, Eddie Nketiah starts for this game, of course. I would have gone with Jesus, and the reason that I would have gone with Jesus is for, obviously we mentioned the clip earlier, Arsenal's Gabriel Jesus has scored 8 goals in just 9 Premier League appearances against Everton, more than he has against any other opponent. So Everton is definitely the game for Gabriel Jesus, but these omissions from the team hopefully mean that we're going strong in the Champions League and that we're going to take it quite seriously. Generally on social media, everyone is quite happy with the changes that have been made for the exact reason that I mentioned. This is still a strong lineup. It gives us the opportunity to go strong in the Champions League. Everyone seems to be happy. As for a prediction, I'm going to go big and bold. Arsenal 3, Everton 1.
That would be great. You might have just heard me saying I think they score here. That's because Bournemouth had a free kick and it was just pulled wide by Philip Billing. They did win a corner from it. But into the last 10 minutes plus whatever, 15, 20 minutes at a time, they're inevitably going to add. But it's been a good game. Nicholas Jackson's got away there. It's been a really good... the Premier League has been good to watch, I think. Since its return and last season similar, the quality is going up and up. All teams want to play a certain way, which is probably what make Everton such an unknown quantity, in that they've actually been a little bit more exposed defensively than you're used to seeing from Sean Dyche's team. They've been creating chances that, oh my word, Bournemouth should have scored. Solanke.
This is a great game.
It's all happening. It's all happening. Let's get everyone else's score predictions. By the way, who should start? Raya ends up winning that poll, 54%, having actually been behind. So some late turnaround there with all you Raya fans jumping into the chat last minute. Fair play. Last night also asking with a super chat, who deserves to be on as a sub, Havertz or Smith Rowe? I don't know. Let's just hope that let's hope we don't need to make any and that the team do their job, and then you can just give Smith Rowe some needed minutes. Score predictions. Christian, take it away.
I'm going to go for... It's between 2-0 and 2-1, but I'll go for the 2-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think David Raya. I would hope he'd get a clean sheet, but I think just because we're not great away from home against Everton, I think they'll get a goal.
I can't remember if I said 2-0. Oh, did I say 2-0 on Forever Arsenal podcast?
If you went 2-1, I'll go for a 2-0.
I think I said 2-0. Can't remember. Izzy, score
I'm
prediction.
going to go 3-1.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
I want goals.
Well, Frank's gone for 3.
I went 2-1 on the transfer. Sorry, keep saying that. The fan zone.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with that. I do think it will be a difficult game though, but I do think Arsenal have it in them to win this game and will win it. Yes, so I'm going to stay.
Abdullah says Eddie wins long balls. Can't bench Eddie and Kai. I think he's choosing to bench Kai over starting Jesus. Great balance. Jesus can still deliver off the bench. He can deliver off the bench, but
You could make a case for either of them starting, to be honest. As we said, Jesus got an excellent record against Everton. Eddie started the season very well. So, yeah, I mean, Jesus scored that great goal against Man United as well last week, or the last time we played, so...
Well, Sapphire Blocks says it's going to be 1-1, dead game. Heathy Boy says 3-1 to Arsenal. Erotic says 2-0 to Arsenal. Pablo says, I hope Arsenal lose. Thank you, Pablo.
I don't see it being a dead game. I think it will be a good game.
Reload says 4-0. El Chapa says 4-0. Curtis says 7-0. Maximus says 2-0. What did I read a name?
7-0.
7-0.
Oh, wow.
You never know.
It's possible.
0-0 says Carl. 5-1 Arsenal says Alex. Listen, I'd love just a real confidence boosting. We're going into a big week. The return of the Champions League. North London derby. They're on fire. I think it'd be really great if we can just start this week in the right way. I went for 2 I think on Forever Arsenal, so I'll stick with that. Remember everyone, you can download the AFTV Plus app. It's completely free to do, and join us on FanZone on the full-time show straight after. Again, completely utterly free to do, and it's your chance to have your say. Of course, Robbie, Cecil, they'll have the mics, they're outside the ground talking to fans, and yes, we see you in the comments. That's amazing. This is your chance to be live on AFTV and have your say. Sometimes we put them out as fan cams as well. It's just an opportunity for you all to have your say post-match, and comment, win, lose or draw, we are there, and the app is there for you as well. Like I said, free to join. And if you do want to build your 11s, tag us on socials. You can do that all via the app. There's polls running and all sorts. Big thank you to Christian, big thank you to Izzy, big thank you to Laurie. We'll be back in about 20-25 minutes. We're going to watch the rest of this game and be back for the start of the big game and the return to football, return to Premier League action. We've got Wednesday next international break, about 3-4 weeks away. So, there's a lot of football being played in a short amount of time. We'll see you very soon.